Hey guys, so for this video I'm going to be doing a movie review of the movie The Creator. When I saw this trailer I was excited because it was exactly the kind of movie I love. It's kind of like AI and the kind of, I don't know, philosophical debate as to, AI would, is it actually, like, could it feel feelings, should it be treated like, with respect or like humans? Just that whole, like, I guess, debate was always so fascinating to me. And so when I saw this trailer for this movie, I was super excited. I will say I was disappointed in the movie, and I can get into why later, but yeah, it was... that throughout the entire movie, I was just like, I was, having to stop myself from actually getting up and leaving, because it was making me so angry. But let's go into the plot. So the movie, it starts with an old, kind of like the old-fashioned 50s footage of, it would be kind of like those films you would watch about, like, the making of stuff that was from, like, the 50s, except for this one, it's kind of like an alternate reality in which AI was created, like, in the 50s or so, and then we slowly start to see how they advance through the decades, and so that's kind of how we're introduced to the story, and then we get to the year 2055, and a nuke has been dropped on LA, and it has killed millions, and the American government blames the AI for it, and, vows to destroy all AI. And so that's kind of where we start. So, of course, the US government are the dicks in the movie. New Asia is this, I guess, place where the AI have taken haven. It's, of course, Asia, Japan included. They continue to use AI, and they're kind of like, I wouldn't say at war exactly with the US, but they're not, they're continuing to allow AI to exist, but yeah, the AI go to New Asia to try to escape NOMAD, the North American Orbital Mobile Aerospace Defense. God, that's a mouthful there. Essentially this giant space station in the sky that can drop bombs at, anytime they want, essentially. So throughout the entire movie, you can see it in the sky, and it is kind of creepy. So yeah, the U.S. military launches a mission to assassinate the creator of AI, Namada. I don't know why exactly they're doing this. Oh, I think it's because he supposedly is going to be creating a some form of AI that's going to wipe out humanity. But anyways, that's, they launch that mission, and then we follow Sergeant Joshua Taylor, who's been undercover in New Asia. He got married while he was there. He got his wife pregnant, so we got that whole mess. And that's when the military, the geniuses they are, decided to, I guess, blow his cover. And yeah, his wife ends up, escaping because she's heartbroken because AI, she cares about AI, and so she, runs away from him and tries escaping in the boat with some other AI and is blown up by the U.S. military. So we flash to about like 7 years later, and or 5 years, and we see Joshua. He is part of the Ground Zero cleanup crew. So Ground Zero was a crater left after the LA bomb, nuclear bomb. And so they're doing disposal, and you kind of get a scene that kind of sets the, I guess, tone, or just kind of lets us in on like AI and just how advanced they are, because they're getting rid of this robot that supposedly is dead, but then he wakes up and he starts screaming for what was her name? Amy. And he just starts screaming for Amy, and then, you know, that's when they, I'm assuming, kills him. And so, and this is kind of also where this is my hatred, I guess, of Joshua starts, because he is so dismissive, whereas his partner is kind of disturbed by it. He doesn't give a fuck. And so, yeah, I'm already not liking him at this point. Didn't help that he also literally betrayed his wife. He's later approached by the military, who wants him to go on a mission to destroy Alpha Zero, the weapon that they think is going to destroy Nomad and turn the tide of war. And so he refuses to work with them, but then decides to work with the people who killed his wife, because apparently his wife is still alive. There's an image of her. And so he decides, oh, I'm going to go, work for the pieces of shit that, supposedly killed his wife. And, I don't know if the creator, or I forgot his name. I don't know. I forgot who wrote this movie. But I can't remember if he was trying, or I don't know if he was trying to make us sympathize with the American military in this scene, but they had this sergeant or general, what the fuck her name, I don't know her rank, but she gets this whole bullshit sob story about how her sons died in the war because they decided to go to war, because she decided to go to the war to fight AI for the American douche nozzles. And so yeah, I don't know if they're trying to make us sympathize with them, but I didn't give a fuck about their sob story. It's their fault they went and go fight against, the AI that did, they're essentially blaming all the AI for supposedly a few individuals. By that logic, then we can blame literally everything America, does on Joshua then. So they end up flying to New Asia, and we kind of, it does kind of feel like poor communities, because, they're living in villages, and they don't, for supposedly having like this advanced technology, it doesn't look as advanced, so you figure out that they're more the poorer villages. And so these assholes go into the village and start slaughtering AI, and also, I can't remember if they kill humans in the village, but they threaten to kill a dog to get a child to fucking try to tell them where the supposed, location to the underground, the lab is. And yeah, it makes me want to give a fuck about this goddamn movie when these assholes are literally just killing people left and right and threatening to kill children and dogs and shit like this. But they finally get into the facility, and Joshua is separated from the others, and he's the first to find the weapon. All the others are just slaughtering people left and right, so that's fun. He discovers that the weapon is a simulant child. I think that's how you say it. Essentially, a child has the face of a human, and so it's obvious they have AI, because you can see it like under, because it's just like the face, and then like the rest of the parts of it is like, you can see underneath that they're like AI. So it's an interesting design. But yeah, he's told to kill her by his douche nozzle officer, and but a doctor comes and shoots him and allows her to escape. But of course, this asshole doesn't die, because that would be too nice for him. So the other shithead helicopter gets blown up, because one of the idiots, when they're trying to escape, gets hit in the back with something. And instead of just checking to see, maybe if at least he's, hit. Nope, they don't decide. They decide not to bother. turns out that, they'd shot a bomb at them and it attaches to the back of them, so they got into the helicopter with a bomb on them and blew up a helicopter. But of course, this doesn't kill all these assholes. Despite this bomb and the crash combined, these assholes still survive to go slaughtering people left and right. So yeah, the girl has escaped, but she eventually kind of finds him again. I don't know if she's just curious about him or she's, so used to, like, being taken care of that she kind of latches onto him. So she follows him to a hut, and then we find out that she can control technology with her mind. So another AI finds them and then realizes what she is. I think she's kind of seen as this, like, savior, I guess, and I think he tries to kill her because he doesn't want her to get into the hands of, the Americans. But he's saved by one of his Joshua's shitty pals who, of course survives the crash. And so, yeah, they take, her name's Alfie, that's it. Because, she was Alpha O, and, Joshua is a dumbass who can't find a more creative name than Alfie to give her. So, her name's Alfie throughout the movie. Yeah, so the police, the police are like these AI, and so the police show up, and they get defeated by a fucking dog, when the dog, after they throw a grenade, picks a grenade up and takes it back to them. It's, this kind of stuff throughout the movie that kind of annoys the fuck out of me, because it's like it feels like luck that they survived this long because of things that kept happening. It just feels lucky that either the people that they were fighting against were too incompetent to actually take their assets out, first, and instead of waiting, or just lucky, like, oh my gosh, a dog saves them by taking the bomb back to the bad guy, to the cops. So it was just, this movie was annoying me. Thankfully, the shitty pal ends up getting shot in the process and dies finally. They eventually get to New Asia, Tokyo, and you immediately can tell it's Tokyo. I'm pretty sure they filmed in Tokyo, but it is gorgeous. It's more like an advanced AI version of Tokyo, and so he ends up meeting with Drew, his former officer. And the thing is, I think this is what they might have been trying to do with Joshua, or they should have done with Joshua, because we see a flashback scene to Drew, when it's before Joshua meets his wife. We kind of learn that she was the target the entire time, so he literally, got her to fuck him, and then, got her pregnant, and it was all just a ploy to get, because apparently she's like the daughter of the creator, so, yeah, continues to be shit. But anyways, we see that scene with Drew, but then we reveal that Drew is living with his simulant girlfriend, Cammy, and so she's obviously AI. She has like these like glowing eyes, and we can see that underneath her face that it's AI. So she looked really cool, and so I liked her. And then we kind of get a scene where Joshua mocks him because he has a simulant girlfriend. After Drew calls her babe. And so what it did to me is at least kind of made me like Drew a lot better, because at least he feels like he kind of he changed a little bit, I guess. He's still kind of like this, I wouldn't say mechanic, but he worked with AI. I guess you could say that. I think he's kind of like a repairman and helps out whenever they need repairs done. I think he works at a factory. I don't know. I've only seen it once, but he reveals that Alfie, after he examines her, is the most advanced AI he's ever seen, and that she's actually growing. So it's not, she's not stagnant, but she's actually growing. And so, of course, Joshua is the angel of death, and when the police show up again, Cammy is killed, and we get this really sad scene where Drew is like crying over her body, and once again, just made me feel sympathy for Drew and like him, and made me hate Joshua because he didn't give a fuck. Yet again, people are dying because of his ass. Anyways, the police break in, and he's led by Borman from Willow, which I was not expecting. I mean, that was kind of interesting, but they kill him off relatively quickly, of course. But yeah, the police try to arrest him instead of taking his ass out, as per usual, and of course he ends up shooting them all. And continuing this theme throughout the movie of the AI just refusing to actually shoot this fucker so that he has a, chance to kill them all. I'm not sure if this was supposed to indicate that the AI are not supposed to hurt humans, which just makes me hate these fuckers more, because if that's true, then they're literally just killing these people that can't essentially fight back because it's, against their programming. Or they just made them really, useless. Made these AI useless and pacifist to the point that it felt like they just, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It just made me mad how useless the AI was during this entire movie when they're supposedly supposed to be so dangerous. So yeah, of course, Drew is injured, but he survives long enough to tell Joshua that they were after Maya 5 years ago because they got intel that Maya was Namada, god damn it, before he dies. Anyways, I think he knew that Maya was the target, but I don't think he knew that she's supposed to be like the creator. I think he just, oh actually no, I think he originally thought she's like this arms dealer, the daughter of this like arms dealer or something like that, and it turns out he's the daughter, she's linked to the creator of AI, whatever. Anyways, so of course he, his shitty pals come storming in and kills everyone along the way, so continue to see their slaughter of pretty much everyone. They eventually get captured by Ken Watanabe's character, Harun, who Joshua knew at the beginning of the movie when he was undercover, but he betrayed him, and so now he's met him again. And so this is when Harun reveals that AIs weren't the ones that nuked LA. It was the US's incompetence. It was a programming error that, launched the bomb to destroy LA. And they just decided, as per usual, to blame it on AI instead of actually taking responsibility. So, yeah, that's the big reveal. He also mentions how when the AI wins, nothing will happen to the US because AI just wants to live in peace. So, since there's not going to be any, revenge or anything like that, which I thought that was an interesting point because, that's one of the things. You want revenge, but then revenge will no doubt continue the violence, and if you don't want the violence to continue, you want peace, you're going to have to kind of let it go somewhat, and that it's tough, I guess. So, I thought that was an interesting point. But yeah, Joshua gets Alfie and is going to bail after leading the military to the village where they slaughter countless people again. So that's a continuing theme in the movie. This jackass continues to lead his shitty friends to people who end up dying. So the American, military has these running bombs that literally they run, and they run past the first line of defense and into the crowd of innocent people, trying to, purposely killing, countless innocents, continuing to show what just monsters they are, and just continuing to make you hate Joshua because he actually worked with these fuckers. So Alfie, she's able to actually stop the second bomb. But then she gets hurt because of Joshua's shitty friend, who shoots her. Thank God he eventually gets his ass shot, but yeah, she loses control and it explodes. So because Alfie is hurt, they take her to Maya, who, shocker, it's been revealed that she's been in a coma since the strike happened, and she's been taken care of by simulant monks, which was interesting. The monks revealed that she's stuck in her physical body because they can't kill her, because they cannot kill Namada, and they can't harm the creator, so they are wanting Joshua to do it, so kind of give her peace, I guess. It's revealed that Alfie is actually based on Joshua and Miles' child that was killed in the bombing, because Maya, I guess before, had scanned the child in utero to get her likeness, and then I guess built, or maybe it was a scientist who built her, but just using her likeness to, create her. So she's essentially the likeness of Joshua and Maya. So I guess they kind of make peace with Maya, but they upload her consciousness into a drive before they kind of kill her physical body. Haroon shows up, but he gets shot when the Assos show up yet again. And so we get the whole shitty monologue scene, but then it's revealed that Haroon has survived. He just has a giant ass hole in his chest. He attaches a bomb to the assholes yet again. And despite it happening before in the helicopter, these jackasses still don't fucking look on their backs to see the bomb. And so they did the whole they start panicking, but thank God they finally get blown up. And it just, you gotta wonder how the fuck they got defeated by these assholes. I can't recall if Haroon ends up surviving or not, which I hope he did because I liked him. And then Joshua and Alfie are captured by the US, and they make him kill her with a electroshock weapon. But of course, they were essentially playing possum. He had put her on sleep mode so they could escape before they put her in the incinerator. So they end up going on board a ship. Alfie is able to control the ship, taken to the space station. So the space station is preparing to destroy all the AI bases in the world. They plant a bomb on the station, and Alfie is able to escape. But Joshua gets delayed by a tentacle monster, and he has to eject the ship without him. He has to eject Alfie's ship without him. Unbeknownst to Joshua, of course, the ship had a bunch of simulants that had the likeness of Maya, because I forgot to tell you that part. Apparently Maya was scanned and her likeness is being used on, a lot of simulants, in Tokyo. So we see her face all over the place because she's, her likeness was used. And so that was kind of also one of the shockers. But anyways, they put the chip in one of the simulants, and so we get Maya, actual Maya, because it's her consciousness. And him and Maya get to be together one last time before the ship explodes. And honestly, he got better than he frankly deserved. Alfie lands on the Earth as people celebrate the Death Star being destroyed. That's essentially what it felt like. But yeah. So, I'm not sure, I think it might have been after I saw this movie, but I kind of watched a behind the scenes video and they talked about Vietnam, which finally explained everything, to be honest. I think it was supposed to be kind of like an allegory for Vietnam when, the Americans did terrible things. And they're kind of portrayed as the, monsters. because most of the movie was just the U.S. military going into an Asian country and slaughtering people. But the thing is, when you do that, it just makes me not want to watch the movie. You don't have any connection to these shitheads who are slaughtering people, and you actually do like the people that they're slaughtering. And so we just, when it's the entire movie, it literally felt like every other scene was them killing people. There was no, like, I guess there was no relief from it throughout the movie, so that we can actually, like, calm down and we can have some peace. It was just that constant, just killing, and so it really bothered me, I guess. I did love the concept. I did find the AI fascinating. Some of the kind of ideas were fascinating. The interaction between AI and humans were interesting. I loved that part. There was like this scene where some of the AI were kind of like worshipping, so like doing a lot of like human things, which kind of brings into question, well, if AI does have intelligence, would they act like humans, and does intelligence lead to things like religion? And it's a really interesting like thought experiment, I guess. But something bothered me because Maya, it's revealed that Maya was raised by AI, and so that's kind of her connection to them. I don't know, it's just kind of confusing for me because she revealed that Maya is actually like the creator, I guess. And so if she's the creative AI, and I might have gotten the story confused, but if she's the creative AI, then how could AI have raised her? Either that, or she knew like a human or an AI, and grew up with him. I don't know. It was confusing. But there was she talks about this, AI mother, if you will, who ends up losing her child, and she just decides to shut down because she doesn't want to live with her child, which was also heartbreaking. And I liked Maya. I thought she was too good for Joshua. Anyways, futuristic Japan, where they embraced AI, was fascinating. They used the likeness of humans for hundreds of AIs, like they did with Maya. We see how AI is created in Japan, so it was like more of a assembly line, but it was also kind of creepy because we could actually see them moving as they were being created, so it felt kind of creepy as well. And so, yeah, it was like beautiful, of course, but we see how like we get these different like stages of AI. So there was the more like earlier models, I guess, that look more like robotic. They don't actually have human faces, they're like metal faces. And then there's the more advanced AIs who actually do have human faces that are like just more advanced. And so I kind of like that contrast. But yeah, overall, I just was so disappointed in this movie because I don't think it actually developed the story, the concepts, like they should have, for the fact it was this like sci-fi movie. It felt more like a war/action movie. They focused so much on the action scenes, not on actually developing this like world of AI and letting us get to know like, these AIs and kind of how they are, how advanced they are and how human they are. So it just was disappointing. I'll just leave it at that. But so quickly, because I'm getting tired of talking about this movie, getting to like the reception of it. So Ben Sherlock of Screen Rant thought being released in the middle of public debates of AI was positive for the film rather than negative, and attributes a poor performance to its Rotten Tomatoes score and the price of cinema tickets, which I don't know about that, but I did kind of notice that it was kind of being released during this like whole like question about AI and like kind of the morals behind AI. The Rotten Tomato consensus reads visually stunning, packed with spectacular set pieces. The creator serves up timely well-acted sci-fi that satisfies in the moment, even if it lacks substance. Oh, it didn't satisfy me in that moment. It just made me mad. Pete Hammond of Deadline Hollywood called it one of the most thought-provoking movies in some time, one to which attention must be paid. I will say it was thought-provoking, but then it really just dropped the ball on kind of exploring those concepts. David Urich of IndieWire describes it as AI, artificial intelligence, meets children of men, and wrote that the most fundamental reason why the creator, for all of its shortcomings and cliches, ultimately sold me on its optimism is that it succeeds as a blueprint where it fails as a movie. Kind of agree on that. It was a great concept, a fascinating idea, but it's just horribly executed, I feel. Mark Jenkins of the Washington Post wrote that the film fails to develop the personalities and relationships that would give its central characters an affecting humanity. What I found fascinating in this movie is that the human characters feel more robotic and the robots, the AI, felt more human. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but the fact is they didn't spend as much time as they should have on developing these relationships, in the movie. Like the AI really giving us a look into like their lives and kind of their interactions with humans. They were so short that there are characters that you grew to care about. There was this one character I loved. He was an AI, but they had to kill him off a fucking course. But yeah, the human characters, Joshua especially, felt so cold and just bland. I'm not sure if they thought they did something when. I'm not sure if they thought that they developed him from this cold man who doesn't care about AI to caring about AI. I did not get that. Throughout the entire movie, he didn't give a flying fuck about any AI except Alfie. Goddamn. And I think, that was the bare minimum. And then he really kind of acts differently when he learns that she's kind of the likeness of Maya and him. So that feels like the only reason he gave a fuck was because he thought, it kind of reminded him of his unborn child, I guess, he lost. So it didn't feel like he actually gave a fuck about AI, essentially. Raphael Montemayor of /film, don't know how you'd say that, calling it visually stunning, but a predictable and dumbed down story that feels like Edwards doing a James Cameron Avatar in terms of presenting bold world building and sci-fi ideas, but without the emotional resonance of that giant film. This is a very cool film, but not necessarily a very good one. I will agree. Avatar, say all you want about it, that it's just, just visuals. At least you actually feel the characters actually are characters, and we get to see the relationships with each other for most of the movie before the military comes and starts killing people, so that you actually care about them by the end. Fiona Hollingen of Screen International wrote that it lacks the intellectual depth or ambition of the films it references, from Apocalypse Now to Blade Runner, Terminator, Star Wars, and beyond, to the imaginary of Condon. Richard Roper of Chicago Sun-Times called it a great-looking but strange and mostly unsuccessful hybrid of futuristic sci-fi thrillers and Vietnam War films that combines elements of everything from District 9 to Blade Runner to Ex Machina to the Terminator franchise. For me, it was just great ideas that were horribly executed because they didn't understand how to actually write a story, write characters that would be compelling. So, I guess I'm going to wrap up with that because I, once again, am tired of talking about this film. So, yeah, if you did like this video, give it a like. Subscribe to get notifications for all the videos I'll be doing. You guys have a nice night. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you later.